welcome back to another episode here on the Inkwell Lounge. I'm your host, Chris, aka Questing for Lore, and in this week, I got a chance to catch up with one of my previous guests, someone many Disney Lorcana players will recognize, who's just started up a brand new channel, the Lore College, Mr. Burns. He and I talked some about this new channel and spent most of the time talking through some of the decks that he sees are most viable for the Vine meta and ones you might just see at the upcoming championships. Sound interesting? Let's get to it. Oh, and just one quick note for you audio only listeners. We talk about a lot of deck lists in this episode and show images of them as we talk through them. So it's probably better if you go watch it over on YouTube at youtube.com at Inkwell Lounge. Thanks. Enjoy the episode. Well, hey, Mr. Burns, how's it going? It still sounds weird to call you that. I have to, I have to
It's
say,
okay,
but
it's okay.
it's good to see you again. It's great to have you back on the channel. Thanks for taking some time. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. This week has gone even better because you reached out and asked if I could come on, and I appreciated that so much. I love talking Lorcana, and I love talking about myself. So we can knock it off two birds with one stone.
There you go. Check them both off, right?
Yeah.
Right. Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know, we've got a lot going on in the community right now. You've got a lot going on in your life, between traveling and family and everything. But I'm glad I'm able to sit down with you and get to catch up a little bit. It's probably been at least over a year now since the last time that I got a chance to talk to you. So, I always appreciate getting to sit down and chat with you, getting your insight on, the current meta, current decks, current state of the community, all that kind of good stuff. So, but we'll get to all that. First off, I want to give you a chance to kind of talk a little bit about yourself. If people have watched the previous episode, which I will figure out how to link in one of these corners somewhere on the YouTubes.
I don't know how to do that either.
I mean, I'll figure it out. There's probably a YouTube video that shows me how to do it. So win-win. But yeah, so they can go back and watch like the more in-depth if they want to, but go ahead and give me a little bit of a summary of like how you came to Lorcana, why you stick with it, what you enjoy about the game, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so I started playing Disney Lorcana because I have two daughters and they swear they're princesses. So I was like, oh, I played card games my whole life. I'll play a princess card game and I'll just play with my kids. I lied. I lied to myself. I lied to everyone. I didn't mean to, okay? It something resonated with me and I was like, okay, well, I will go check out a local game store. And for the most part, everyone was super chill, like way cooler than any other community I had been in, right? It's like people showered, they brushed their teeth that day. It was so much different than what I was used to, right?
Right.
So I was like, oh, these are mostly, quote unquote, normal people. And a lot of people are not jaded from, the 30 years experience I have in card games. And I was like, you know what? This community is great. I want to be a part of it. And I said to my wife, I was like, hey, I promise you I went and played card games when we met. I'm sorry. Let me get some time. See if I can make something of myself in this card game space. And I didn't even have anything particularly in mind. Like I would have loved to cast or do anything with Ravensburger, but also just like be a part of the community and, try to help grow the community if I can, which sounds so, I don't know, insane to say, like one person lifting up things. I know I'm not that important, but it has been a great ride.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, you've been such a big part of the community for a while. I mean, I can remember when I first started, getting into the game and everything. I think you were one of the earlier ones that I watched, and like more on the competitive side and stuff.
Yeah. Luckily back then TFM took me on. I said it in the last one, started on luxury, moved on to TFM. Now I'm just doing my own thing. And I've leaned into even more like educational stuff recently as well. That's actually where Mr. Burns came from. People think it was Ravensburger's doing. It was not. I was told my name was okay, but this, I can't be like professor or something like that. I don't want any stolen valor. I'm just Mr. Burns. I'm more of a substitute teacher, right? Yeah. I've got maybe an associate's degree. I've got an associate's degree in something. May not be relevant, but
Right,
I'm
right.
here to teach.
Nice, nice. Yeah. And well, and that kind of nicely leads into one of our first things that I wanted to talk about. You've got a new channel, the Lore
True.
College. Kind of
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that. Like what's kind of the the motivation behind it? Like where are you going with that channel?
Yeah. So the main motivation is just getting people better at Disney Lorcana. Like people have way more fun playing a game that they are also succeeding at. And
Mhm.
succeeding does not have to mean that they won a golden Mickey. It doesn't have to mean they did to the DLC. It might just mean like, hey, I started playing this game and I was going 0-3, and now I'm going 2-1. Or I've been to 10 set championships. I've never top eighted one. I finally top eighted one. If you just get even 1% better at something, you're so much more likely to keep pursuing that thing. And I think that's one of the major things that draws people to trading card games is like you never feel like you're at your peak. Even the best players in the world, I'm sure they think, how can I get even better than this, right? And it's very rare that you find something in your life that you get immediate reward feedback from, and playing in tournaments is one of those things. So
Yeah.
it is more educational, and it's leaning towards people that like want to do well at set championships, or they like playing in DLCs and they just don't want to embarrass themselves.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's, it's interesting to find like some channels that are out there that, kind of fit that little in between kind of thing, right? You've got a lot of them that are like, here's how to play Lorcana, here's the basics of it, that are a little bit maybe more on the casual side. And then you have, some of them that are like the high in-depth kind of
Yeah.
things that, that it's like if you were just starting with the game, that stuff may not make as much sense.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have kind of in between stuff that kind of introduces you to decks and introduces you to some of the basic concepts around playing a TCG and how to like improve at those, because there's so many people that have not played a TCG before Lorcana that they're coming to this just brand new. And it's a whole different world than playing, card games or board games or, any other kind of game, really. It helps if you played Magic or something in the past, obviously, but,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And those are my favorite kind of people. Like they don't have preconceived notions, right? And they've lived a normal life and have a normal trading card game work life or family life balance, right? They're not just all in on trading card games.
Mhm.
And if that is your life, that's fine. If you chose that life for you. But I have found that that's probably not the best way to live anything, not just trading card games. Like you shouldn't work 80 hours a week if you can help it, right? You shouldn't sit at your dinner table and watching TV for 8 hours every single day either, right? Anything in life. And I think like my main angle is like, I don't really want to be a competitive player. I feel like I have to compete and I have to play in DLCs and I have to attend set championships, stuff like that, because I want to also practice when preaching. Like I don't want
Mhm.
to say, "Hey, listen to me," as I am like armchair, quarterbacking, and I'm not actually out there trying any of this stuff that I'm saying. And because of that, I can, if like there's some secret or if there's something that I think will actually get you better, I will actually tell you, right?
Mhm.
And fortunately, I'm in a position where I don't also need to sell that to people,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I'm kind of hitting where I'm really not hiding anything and genuinely trying to help people without getting any return aside from it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And people don't like to admit that. Like if you donate money to a food shelter, that's amazing. One of your motivations is probably it makes you feel good to do that, and
Yeah.
people don't want to say that. I will openly say, hey, I want to do the thing that makes me feel good, sorry. you know at least there's a
Nothing
net
wrong with
positive
that.
from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and and it's nice that, and I've noticed this along, and among a lot of the Lorcana community, there are a lot of people that are more than happy to like jump in and be helpful.
Yes.
They're
Which is great.
it's Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I haven't been a part of other like TCG communities like, Magic or, Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that. So I can't speak to what those are like, but it is impressive to me to even like just go to a DLC and be playing in a, now granted I haven't done the main competitive event since Atlanta. But but doing like, even like the side events and stuff, it's still competitive. It's not the highly competitive stuff, but it's still competitive. But to have people offer advice during the game, or remind you of triggers, you're like, you forget to draw off a genie or something, and which happens to me all the time. That's the only reason I can remember it. I don't know why you would think that's the one card I would remember to draw off of, but
It's my favorite part.
um, I know, right? You would think I would remember. No, but to have people like while you're playing the game, actively playing to remind you to do this stuff, I think it's a huge testament to the kind of people that are coming into this community and the kind of people that are willing to take that knowledge, like you have this extensive knowledge of TCGs and of Lorcana. At this point, it's
Yeah.
what, three years in or something, almost 3 years. And being willing to like share that and not, I understand that there are people that, they have their knowledge, they put in the reps, they put in the time, they have that specialized knowledge of certain decks, certain, matchups and everything. More power to them. If the way that they want to handle it is to, drop it on Metafy or something like that, cool. That's great. I have no problems with that.
Me
I
either.
also have no
Yeah.
problems with all the people that are like, hey, I just want to be helpful, and I think that's, the fact that we can have those two spaces at the same time. And it's not really looked down upon to do either one, I think is a really good testament to what this community is.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. A word that I do not hear very often in this community that I hear in all the others you mentioned is gatekeeping, and that's exactly what you're saying. Like, it's I have not even thought about that. That I used to hear that a ton when I played Magic or when I owned a store and sold Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I never really played them competitively or anything.
Mhm.
And yeah, in this game, the only time you may hear that word is when someone talks about Metafy. But I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's perfectly fine. I don't want to pay for it, so I don't, and I move on
Yeah.
with life.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, and that's the other nice thing is that, for every Metafy that's out there, that there is, something like you pay for a guide, and honestly, all the guides that I've seen are pretty cheap compared to, I've looked at ones in other communities and they are like ridiculously expensive in
Yeah,
comparison. But for every one of those, you've got 10 other people that, they may not be the person that won a DLC with that deck or with, whatever, like a control deck or aggro or whatever, not aggro, but I don't think there's a aggro deck that's won a competition. Um,
well,
but
we could say dogs, but we could also call that a control deck or a mid-range
um,
deck or a combo
I
deck. So
I don't know if I would go so far as to say aggro, but
yeah,
yeah,
it's
okay, fair
it's
enough,
rough.
fair enough. Yeah. No pun intended, right? Rough.
Exactly. I was hoping you'd catch
Um,
that.
but for every
Uh,
one person that has a Metafy for a certain, a certain deck, a certain type, there's like 10 other people that are talking about the same kind of thing that, they have videos, they have guides, they have articles, they have all sorts of stuff. And so, you get it from like both angles where you can take all of this knowledge and kind of combine it all together and, and make this like larger whole from it all, as long as you want to put the time in and actually learn about this stuff. But it's all out there, and I find that, to be, especially as somebody, like I said, new to TCGs, to have something out there like that vast amount of knowledge to just pull from whenever I want. You start hearing about, like, when Eleanor came out, I was like, okay, yeah, it's kind of a cool card. I get it. But then, you start hearing more and more about it. And so you start doing more and more research and finding out, oh my gosh, yes, this is actually a pretty amazing card,
yeah,
when it starts pairing with other stuff. And
too
so,
good.
yeah, no, trust me. Um, but, um, but yeah, it's amazing the amount of time that people spend sharing their knowledge in this community. it's impressive and very much appreciated on my part. And I know there's lots of people out there that they love watching, some of the content that you've created in the past, some of the stuff on your new channel, and just the vast amount of Lorcana content that's out there is just, it's staggering at this point. There's so much.
Yeah, it's great. And we were joking about putting something in a different corner and saying, oh, you can just find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just so nice that you can literally do that for anything, especially Disney Lorcana.
Yep. Yeah, I was joking with my wife the other day. I was like, how did we learn how to do stuff before YouTube?
Oh yeah, I had to Google something 2 days ago, and I said, wasn't it great when you would just argue for an hour and then one of you gives up instead of Googling the answer?
Yeah. No, I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I promise I'm
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and honestly, that's been such a huge thing. And, and I have to wonder, you have games like Magic that kind of started when it first started, there wasn't that kind of thing, and now they've built up this, obviously huge community over the last 30 years or whatever
Yeah.
the game's been around. But to see Lorcana have that kind of from the very start, we even had some content creators that were making stuff before the game even came out, which is crazy.
Oh, I know. Speculating on cards that weren't even real.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's like, what is ink? What does that mean? What, yeah. But, I think it's a testament to, the game and its longevity that, a decent number of those people are still in the community and they're still creating content actively, that there's always something new to learn about the game, not just as the new sets come out and everything, but, a new way to play the game. We're getting new formats. We're getting, some new kind of side event structures, and and the rules are always slightly changing. So you kind of got to keep up with that. So there's lots of stuff to cover. So
yeah, we're still toddlers, really.
Yeah.
You brought Magic a few times. Magic changed their rules so many times over the years, and at this point, no one remembers. They just know, oh, there's a Marvel set. But if Ravensburger announced tomorrow you can no longer quest the turn you shift, I would just be like, okay. Yeah, because I played Magic forever. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, that happens sometimes. We're in our infancy state. We were all the beta testers. The alpha testers made the game, right? Steve Warner was in there grinding games, and now we're the beta testers, really. If you think about it, in 20 years, that's how it will be looked back on at this time, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see this game going anywhere for a while, so I have no doubt.
The Disney magic.
Yeah, well, yeah, Disney helps. I will say that. So let's see. You've got, what are you up to now? You're about 16 videos in on the new channel.
Yeah, which is crazy to me.
I know. I remember when you posted about it, that first video came out, because your first couple of ones are those the full set reviews for Attack of the Line.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that? I'm looking up how to start a YouTube channel. All right. I know nothing. The first time I was on this channel, I had bought my first computer only a couple months earlier. Okay. I am looking at you through that computer right now. That amazes me. How does this even work? What kind of simulation do we live in? I digress. So I am looking up how to start a YouTube channel, but that's very broad. So everyone is like, oh, no one's going to watch your first 30 videos. No one's going to watch your first 50 videos, whatever. Just put them on there. Right. And I'm like, what is the first thing you start with? Right. I don't want to start with who's the quester. I think that is very important. And I would love if many, many people saw that, just so that they got better at the game. I don't care if, monetize anything like that. Just I don't want this to be the first video because I think it's too important. So I'm like, what can I do just to spew videos out there? Oh, read cards and rate them. Great. I've never done one of these long form, split into 6-part videos. I was just like, that'll be my first 6 videos. And then shocked, the number just kept growing.
Yep.
I swear, if I didn't go to Japan and have to and Gen Con and take a break, I may have been the first person to have never truly accomplished anything in the game to break 1,000 the quickest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it's not fair if you win a DLC and then you make a channel. Oh yeah, of course you're gonna get 1,000
Yeah.
subscribers. But
Yeah. Yeah.
this random guy in North Carolina who has a zebra at my local park. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. Anyway,
No, I
yeah,
didn't.
Bivens will tell you. I live in the middle of nowhere, so like this random guy, I was shocked and like so happy that the number just randomly kept growing. I'd wake up, oh, the number's different. I was expecting today maybe hit 100,
Yeah.
which also, if someone does not know what Disney Lorcana is and found this video, thank you so much for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button. But in normal life, you would be like, whatever, you know, because everyone compares you to Mr. Beast. If you walk in a grocery store and say, yeah,
Of
I'm a
course.
YouTuber, they go, oh, how many million followers do you have? As if that's super easy. But like in the Disney Lorcana space, this is like huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which again in 20 years is going to be hilarious, I'm sure. Right? If someone dredges this conversation up like, oh, he's happy to get hit 500, okay. But anyway, I have been over the moon excited. And then at Gen Con, I swear I met all 500 subscribers. Like, so many people kept coming up and saying, "Oh, I love the new channel," which I appreciated so much. I genuinely never expect anyone to watch the stuff I make. I try to have, you know, one or two people in mind when I'm making the
Hmm.
channel and when I'm making the videos, and it is for that person. And if it helps anyone else, great. So anyway, I don't know where we started, but my bad. tangent
No, no,
tangent
it's all
over.
good. No, no, no. Perfect, perfect. No, it's great. I always love, and I know you're not exactly the new guy to, to making videos and to this kind of content, but it's always really cool to me to see like how somebody starts out with their channel, because it says a lot about them what those first couple of videos are. You have people that like you have a little bit of experience, and so you kind of knew, okay, this is the kind of thing that I want to do. I want to talk about the cards, I
Yeah.
want to rate them, that's a makes sense for kind of a first thing. And then you have people that basically they just hop on, turn on the camera, and they start talking, and some of their first videos are just basically them talking at the camera for 20 minutes, and that's it. And so it's always interesting to me to see those starting places where people come from and to see how their content evolves over time. And even just in the short amount of time that you've been doing this channel, you can kind of see how it's not just, oh, I'm just going to read the cards, I'm going to rate the cards, I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk about what the best cards are. You've already branched into deck lists, you've already branched into some of those, the top 8 mistakes players make, kind of videos.
Yeah,
You're
I thought that
already
one was an
mixing
important one.
in. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially for people new to the game. But mixing in those new kinds of topics already, it's really cool to see that it's already kind of branching out from that, that initial just deck or card review kind of thing. So
Yeah.
um, I'm curious, do you have anything that you're like thinking about, like any directions you're going to go with it, or any potential like videos that could be coming up soon, or something aspirational that you want to do in the future? I don't I know, big
I've
question.
got I've got an entire notes app. Every time I see someone make a mistake, basically, I make a note. Right?
Okay.
And anytime someone asks me a question, if I think it's broad enough, I also make a note. Basically, it's I either have a lesson in mind, something like who's the quester, or like, how to win on the draw, stuff like that. Like stuff like that is huge. I don't see a lot of people talking about stuff like that. Instead, they just complain that they lost the die roll.
Well, yeah.
um,
I mean, we all
so
do,
I
honestly.
so I either, I have something in mind, I talk about it, or like someone asks me something and I think it's broad enough to talk about. And other than that, I have my quarterly videos that are always going to happen, which is talk about the new cards that are spoiled, obviously, and like give them some kind of rating. Doesn't necessarily have to be the entire set. I don't know if I'm gonna do that next time. It's a little boring after 20 minutes of, and this is a vanilla character. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
maybe just talk about
that's
the
tough. Yeah.
reasonable cards. So new card reviews. Obviously, we have to talk about new decks, and like it's funny. Like someone commented on the Amber Ruby, which I don't care. You can comment a hate comment if you want. It's going to help the algorithm, right? Someone was like, "Oh, great, the 17th person to talk about this deck." I try to strike between like, yeah, and like, not even that I'm watching everyone else's content, especially because I don't want to pull Robin Williams and like plagiarize something unknowingly, right? And I try to balance between people really need to know about this deck, or like, hey, here's a different way of attacking the metagame. And people definitely only care about those two things. It's either I want the most off the wall rogue deck that I'm going to show up to a set champs and people are going to be like, I can't believe I just lost to this. I'm dropping 0-1 drop, right?
Kevin, anyone?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Or it has to be like, play these decks at set championships. So
Yeah.
when a set first comes out, I'm gonna talk about the crazy ones. A week or two before set championships, I will do the set championships tier video, and then annually I have videos which will be post rotation prep, basically. Like, I didn't get to make them because of my trip to Japan, and like, spoilers are constantly coming out. Once the spoilers start, you can't prep that much because now you have to let all the cards be shown, right? You don't want to try to solve a puzzle without all the pieces in front of you. But there were things like Circle of Life was 100. If you go in my dream board, I had a Circle of Life pre-rotation starter list, right? It was very obvious that that was going to be a top tier deck, and it is. Just the Amethyst package, right?
Yeah.
And then dogs, if we ordered them off Timu, right? Like, obviously these were going to be decks, and that's something that is just super easy to do every single year. So yeah, I have a roadmap, but I like to sprinkle in different. I just call them lessons.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's one of the nice things about, you've got people that are new to the game that are creating the same kind of videos. Like you said, the person saying it's the 17th time somebody's talked about this deck.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that if you watch all of those 17, yeah, the bulk of it's going to be kind of the same because you're talking about the same cards. But you also have the little things that come from the experience of the player that's talking about it. You're
Yeah.
going to have those little slight differences. And it might be that one video that you're watching, you get that little nugget of, of information that really helps you connect, and it all just kind of clicks in your mind.
Absolutely.
And you don't know who that is, so maybe keep watching.
Yeah,
And
like, Amber Ruby is my most popular video just because the deck is so good, right?
Yeah.
It's being a little overshadowed now, but especially the first week, it was the talk of the town. And that was mainly because I think Olaf is one of the best cards in the game. Like, anything that can be free is incredibly good, and it's inkable. It's crazy. So like, maybe you watch that video, and yeah, my deck list is not going to be as good as Humble's. All right, I can be humble about that. He has been playing Amber Ruby since he found out what Disney Lorcana was. He didn't even know what the colors were called at that point, and he's like, Amber Ruby, Amber Ruby. Like, he's the Amber Ruby master. But maybe I talked about how good Olaf was over and over and over, and then you go, oh, actually, I could put Olaf in this deck. If it's such a good card, I have this many actions in this deck. And yeah, even if like you were just said, I just want to reiterate, even if you're not getting exactly what you thought you were when you clicked on the video, there's always something you can learn from most videos. One thing I mentioned was, like, I would not play the Black Cauldron if I was not also playing Webby's Diary. Like, there's no way I'm going to play an uninkable item that will turn on my opponent's bad cards, like Benja, like or Mulan. Like, objectively not good if it does not hit an item. I'm not going to turn them on unless I'm playing something I'm also playing. That could be just something you put in your head for now on. Like, oh yeah, okay, I'm not going to play this deck, but now next time I build a different one, I know this.
Yeah, the cross information kind of thing is a huge piece of it. It's not, like you're saying, it's not just about the deck that you're watching. It's more about learning, how those cards work together, and how, like, you have a deck and you're like, okay, it's almost there. It's really close. It needs this kind of thing. Maybe you're talking about it and you're like, it's lacking in this. Well, a new set comes out and a new card comes out, and then suddenly somebody's like, I remember he said that it needed that kind of thing right there,
Yeah.
you know? And then you start slotting in cards and you start building that knowledge around the entire card base versus just, single decks at a time. It's interesting the way that that kind of evolves. And myself as a newer player, that was one of the things I really struggled with when I first started. I was like, how do people know what cards are good? I don't understand,
Well,
and
rate is a
so
huge thing.
yeah, well, but yeah, it's like you kind of learn that stuff as you go along, and some of that little extra tidbit of knowledge that you get when you're watching other videos can kind of help build that up in your mind. It's like, oh yeah, this was a great card when it was paired with this one in this deck, 2 sets ago. This new set comes out, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, that makes it so much better. Let's bring that back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's really cool the way that, just watching as much as possible, really, especially if you want to get to be, a more competitive kind of player. It really helps build out that knowledge of, how cards play, when to play certain cards, which decks are going to be the best for, what's currently in the meta and everything. Um, so speaking of which, actually, I asked you, and you very, very nicely complied with my request here. I tried to look around because I know, I mean, you're definitely more on the competitive side of things, and so I wanted to get into some of the decks that you thought were going to be, things that could potentially show up at the national championships,
Yeah.
or even just, we've got Attack of the Vine set champs coming up, in what, a month or so? No, a little more than that, seems like. I don't know.
It feels
It's
like it should be sooner because we had that one, that one season that was like a month after the set release. You
oh
know what I mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So they're throwing
Yeah,
us
that was weird.
curveballs here, but now
Yeah,
we do have continentals to deal with.
yep,
So obviously that also had to change how they went about things.
yep, yep. All right, so you gave me, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 decks. Do you have a favorite out of the ones that you gave me that you want to start with?
All right. Well, here's the thing. I did want to point out, I think that a deck that will be successful at NACC or EUCC or whatever is
Hmm.
not necessarily the deck that you should play at set championships. I just want to get that out of the way. So it will
Fair
be,
enough.
yeah, because people know who's invited to this tournament, right? It is public knowledge who's invited to this tournament. There are people with spreadsheets right now, their name, the deck they play in the ICL, the deck that they qualified with, the deck they wrote a Metafy guide about. Like hundreds of people. It's insane. More
Yep.
power to them. I would also do that if I was qualified. But yeah, so I think that well, let's start with the Kevin deck. This deck, maybe not so famously, it didn't get a lot of views. Made a thumbnail where I was throwing some of these cards in the trash, and I said, "Do not play this deck." And
Yep.
that is because I'm appealing to the set championships player, and I think the most popular deck at set championships is actually going to be, the Eleanor aggro deck. For
Mm-hmm.
a couple of reasons. One, it's really I not any deck is really easy to play, but in the context of Disney Lorcana, it's the easiest deck to play. And even if
Yeah.
that's not true, it looks like it's the easiest deck to play. It also kind of just gets ported over from pre-rotation. So people were already playing that, dogs deck to try to win woodies. They can easily
Mm-hmm.
just switch to this deck and it's almost the same strategy, right? And that deck just dumps on this deck. Like this deck cannot beat that deck under any circumstances. But the players at NACC, EUCC, all that, they know
Mm-hmm.
like that's the deck to beat. So it's going to be the most teched against, the most metagamed against deck in the room. And that's why, last year we saw a lot of people playing like these weird Ruby Sapphire decks. Like I think a whole team of 32 players played the same deck, right? It's like really, you're really really rewarded on bringing something that is either going to beat the best deck, or no one's
Mm-hmm.
going to play the best deck because they're targeting, and you're going to beat everything else. So I would not play this in set championships, but I would not be shocked if this takes at least, a top 16 or a top 8 slot at any of the championships, because it's so good against the other mid-range and control decks. But if your opponent, plays Mike Wazowski, you might as well just, that's your lunch break for the day. Just get up,
Yeah.
just get up from the table. But yeah, so I really would not suggest anyone watching this play this deck, but it's so much fun. Which I titled the deck like the most toxic deck in Disney Lorcana. ... But it's so much fun. And
Nice.
again, if you are very good and you can kind of see what you're going to play into, this is a really, really good choice in that sense.
Yeah, the between this and the Kevin deck that was going around, with all the items and everything, it's it's wild to me to see decks that are like, you get so used to, okay, I have this many characters, this many items, this many, actions or whatever. But to see decks that kind of just completely turn that on, on their head, of where like this one, it only has 3 characters in it, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, the White Rabbit also, I don't understand that much. Maybe they were just like, hey, this was played in a real tournament. I didn't make this deck, by the way. It says the Lore College. That's just so that I could get a nice clean photo of it for us.
Yeah.
But maybe they were just like, listen, I have to at least try to win these matchups, right? And I don't want to get absolutely destroyed by these aggro decks. But what's nice is like this deck cut Kevin, which Kevin was always a mistake. It was kind of a meme, I think. But what's nice is like the other characters have ward. The Huntsman, Milo Thatch, has ward. This is exactly what I was saying about like, oh, you don't want to play an uninkable item in your deck and it's your only item because you don't want to turn on your opponent's item removal. This deck completely turns off all of your opponent's removal. Like your opponent's like, it's game 1. All right, I've got Angel, I've got Akud, I'm gonna get it out on turn 2 with the other Angel. I got Thunderbolt, and I got Strength. My opponent ain't gonna be able to do anything. Oh, Buzz's arm turn 2. Okay, well, we're done here.
Yeah, that's the meme, right?
Yeah, but
drop Buzz's arm on 2. Yep.
But if you are playing a card like Heaven in your deck as the win condition, all of a sudden you did turn on your opponent's deck, and you've effectively discarded a card. So anyway, and we can move on to any decks that you want, and there's no particular order in what I sent them.
Let's see. Let's go. Actually, I like the. Here we go. This the Ruby Amber boost.
Yeah. So people
I love the boost mechanic, so I have to get in on this one.
I love this deck. I played this, not this exact list. This was just the most recent one that was a 2-star or higher on Ink decks. But I played this at the Gen Con CCQ. Had not played I've played 0 Attack of the Vine cards in my life because I was in Japan for the release, and that it was not legal yet. So I was just like, oh, Humble won with this deck. He's smart. I'll just play his deck. I end up going 5-2. Not good enough for the day. But this is a deck that is so strong, but all of a sudden people are just saying it's dead because of the Eleanor deck. The Eleanor deck is rough. You do have a few things, like you have Liquidator. Just playing a Scrooge and boosting and threatening to boost it, it's really hard for your opponent to do anything. But there's just no great way to deal with Pocahontas. Like, we're not going to get to Raging Storm on time. Our 1-for-1 removal with like Red Alert is just way too slow. Like, it's almost embarrassing. And even when you feel like you're stabilizing, like your opponent can just draw Mike Wazowski, play that, get another character, play that, and just, it's rough. So like I was saying, I think that the Eleanor deck may not be as popular, right? So this deck could just come right back out of the woodworks and, beat all of the mid-range decks there are in the game.
Nice. And it's got that Olaf in there.
Olaf's so good.
I haven't really played him. Honestly, the 9 cost was just kind of a deterrent for me to even like consider him.
Yeah. But really, he's like
whenever
3 or 4.
Yeah. I mean, you pair it with all those actions, and it's kind of can be kind of nuts, really, honestly.
Yeah,
But
plus the Sully that they printed, the Olafs can
yeah,
just keep coming back.
yeah,
There were times in the CCQ I had like a Scrooge with so much damage on it, like 5 cards under it, and I just had to run it into something, hoping I could Sully back an Olaf.
yeah,
It was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. But yeah, I think that if not for the Eleanor deck just doing way too much, like it punches way above its weight, this would probably just be the best deck in the format.
yeah, yeah. I This is one that I've been meaning to try out. I haven't gotten a chance to, but it's on my list. I only get so much time to play these days, but
Oh, I understand. We have kids.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that does add a little extra something.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Let me bring up the infamous deck here. Where is that one? Is that this one? There we go. Is that
Oh, the
right
Quigley
one?
control deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, I would say this is the big brain deck of the format.
Yeah.
This is the, I think I'm smarter than everyone, and I'm going to crush them, right? Uh, Circle of Life is an insane card. Singing
Mm-hmm.
is an insane mechanic. Sing together is even better. I wrote an article forever ago. It may be lost to time at this point, where I said singing is the most broken mechanic I've ever used in any card game. So let's abuse it. I
Yep.
mean, free is just way too good. So you have a free action that plays a free character. It
I
was
mean,
only a
right.
matter of time before this card was just incredible. Finally, Chernobog is getting his due.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really removing anything from your opponent's board. Mulan is gone from the format. Bobby is still here, but not really played that often. So it's
Yeah.
rare that your opponent has anything in their discard pile whatsoever. And if they do, it's probably something minuscule that they've traded in with. So you're just getting rid of their best threat and giving them back nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
think Todd, I said it in my card review, the 3 cost 1/2 Todd, I think it's one of the better cards in the set. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I was thinking about
Really?
this deck as I was saying that and giving it that rating. But yeah, I think that a lot of the people that are some of the better players in the game are going to bring this deck because it has those explosive I circle life super early,
Mm-hmm.
and it has that I have an answer to everything. Something that Dre said when I talked to him after one of the PPGs that he got second place in was he played Amber Emerald discard back in the day because, well, it just had game into everything, at least had a game plan into everything. And
Mm-hmm.
playing a Milo Thatch or a Stitch Surfer on turn 3 is always a great game plan into anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's always interesting to me to see, and we kind of mentioned this before, but whenever you have these decks and it's like you look at a card in isolation and it's kind of it's a ho hum kind of card, right? But then when you start piecing these things together and you
Yeah,
see how they interact with each other and like the different lines, once you kind of get that whole thing laid out in front of you, then it makes a lot more sense why something could be a good card, in this particular situation. But it's really easy when you're, like during reveal season to just, look at them individually and be like, okay, that could be good, I guess. But, you
there's
know,
a card just like that in another deck that you're gonna bring up, and I will point that out as soon as it's on screen.
okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, then we will get to this one. Here we go. With everyone's favorite queen.
Yeah, all oh god. So
You either love her or you hate her. I mean, Eleanor is a great card. I will, hands down, great card, but
yeah,
it is super annoying if you are the one on the receiving end. So,
if her ability said or, we would still play it. If it
mm-hmm.
said gain a lore or deal 1 damage or draw a card, we'd be like, oh, this card's still good.
Yeah,
Like you draw the cards when you need to, and then later in the game you gain the lore when you need to.
Yep.
So this is an obvious deck, right? Like it's the de facto like best deck in the format. So I felt like we had to talk about it, even though again, I think it's going to be played a lot lower, which maybe that
Mm-hmm.
helps. Maybe then you have some 4D chess moves where you're like, oh, if people aren't expecting it, I'm just going to win with it. Or, well, I'm just going to win every die roll, because I don't know where people make up these statistics or how they get them. I'm not that smart. If Frank Carson tells me a statistic, it's gospel. Anyone
Yeah,
else? Whatever. 99% of statistics are made up on the spot. People are saying on
it's
the
true.
play, people are saying on the play, this is 16% higher chance of winning than any other deck. Like the play draw disparity, the gap is huge, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like previous formats, it was toxic if it was like 7%, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that seems a little high,
right,
honestly.
I couldn't believe it when I heard it, so I don't believe it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could see it, right? The fact that like I've watched some games of this from like CCQs and stuff where it's turn 2 and they have 4 characters, like
Mm-hmm.
sure, I mean it seems insurmountable. So the card is actually in this deck where I think the card is awful. I think it is a terrible Disney Lorcana card, but we have the perfect storm of this deck provides so many threats to the board. It
Mm-hmm.
draws so many more cards than it ever should be able to while being an aggro deck. And that card is Mike Wazowski.
Yep.
So if Mike
That's what I thought.
Wazowski, yeah, if Mike Wazowski was in any other format, like, well, we've only had, one other format, I suppose, or two,
Yeah.
uh, a fox would just eat it and we would never look back, right? But we are
Yep.
in such a weird predicament where this is like the first time we don't have good rush characters in the game.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sven, but hilariously enough, 4 is a bit too much. uh we also have David protecting the Mike Wazowski,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of shocked Raja doesn't find its way in this deck somehow because of the Plutos, right? Uh, and that's another thing that we didn't really touch on. We could talk about all these decks until we're blue in the face. I'm always red in the face, but there are definitely people out there keeping their secrets, right? We've got some
Oh,
Gandalfs among
absolutely.
us,
Yep.
and they're keeping their cards close to the chest. I mean, we've seen it on Twitter a lot. Redacted is like the number one played deck right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw you mention something about that the other day.
Oh
I was
yeah,
like,
I
oh
hate
yeah, I
it.
guess that really does.
I hate it
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much. We'll try not to get a dislike on this video, but deck lists are tournament materials. They no longer belong to you once you've paid your entry fee. All right. Anyway, I don't even blame the players, because like yeah, they can ask whatever they want. I blame the tournament organizer, but I digress again. Yeah, and then this Rapunzel, like if you can set up some kind of way of like, all right, I'm finally like I'm going to play 2 characters that can challenge into this David or Mike Wazowski or anything. They just go, yeah, I'll just return that to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck resetting that board.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would be remiss if we did not mention this deck because it is the best deck. And for set championships, this is, spoiler alert, the number one deck that you should play for sure. It doesn't matter who's metagaming against it. Like, I played dogs last set championships
Mm-hmm.
in rooms where I was the only person playing dogs out of 16 to 20 people, and the other 15 to 19 people were playing anti dogs decks. I have 11 woodies. Okay. It
Oh my
doesn't,
gosh.
it truly doesn't matter at most set championships. Obviously we have some outliers. Arkansas, pretty good players, right? Some of those people played in Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Atlanta, really good players. I'm not going to name everywhere. Obviously, we don't have to name California. I heard that's the weakest region. I've been told that by a professional. So, you could play whatever you want out there and don't worry about anything. But anyway,
Yeah, it's well, and that's an interesting point. It's actually funny to me. I've played, obviously a lot around here. But then, I've played in a couple other places as I've been traveling, and it's really interesting to me to see that, even though like the meta is kind of similar, you get different players, different levels of players, different kinds of decks, kind of focus areas in different parts of the country and different parts. I'd say different parts of the world, but the farthest I've done is Canada. So, I mean, I guess that's another part of the world, but
That's true.
um,
Yeah, they love
but
their dogs.
yeah, yeah. But it's interesting to me to see, because it's so easy for us to get like in this little bubble of where we usually go, the stores we usually play at, or if you go to a DLC, you get kind of a wider view into it, but there's just so much more variety out there.
Yes.
Especially now with all these different decks that we're talking about. So
Yeah, I mean, Snake Chips won multiple playmats with Ruby Steel.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think for set championships, especially, most of the people playing at a particular store play there weekly, or at least attend all of their set championships solely. And so you can really get a good gauge. Like, I could write down what everyone will be playing at my set championships that I go to. Whereas, again, at NACC, like, these people are playing 4D chess. So,
mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's a whole different level. I don't think I would ever possibly make it to. So, and honestly, it's so great to be able to play a game where saying something like that is completely okay, right? It's not like, if you're not the most competitive player out there, why are you even bothering? To be able to play a game where people are like, yeah, cool. You want to play the coconut format? Awesome. Let's go do that. It's not,
yeah,
you're not really like looked down upon if you don't want to be the most competitive player out there.
yeah, it's so interesting because most games, and I would say sports, as a game, there really are, you have to pick two camps. You started training for football when you were 5, or you play flag football at the rec center.
Yeah.
But in DLCs, you've got people that started training for this DLC when they were 5, even though they didn't know it, playing Pokemon and stuff. And you have someone dressed as Belle, and all 60 cards in their deck say Belle, right? Which is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. That's one of the things that I really love about this game. It's just, the open-endedness of everybody comes to it and enjoys it however they want to. And they're not like looked down upon because of it. It's such a testament to, how strong this community is and how much, people have passion for the game and not just winning. Some people, some people are really passionate about being the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to be the very best.
The best there ever was.
No, wait, that's a different game. Sorry.
I was with you.
But yeah, just to be able to, go and go to these DLCs and hang out and all that kind of stuff is just, it's so much fun to me that's a thing. So
yeah, if I didn't get a competitor badge, I would totally just go as an attendee.
Hey, attendee all the way. That's an attendee inside events.
Yeah.
That's the way to go, in my opinion. Let's see. What was the other one? There was this one that was interesting that I hadn't really seen before.
I knew it was.
So this one, yeah. So the retro evolution device. So I have to admit, this is the first time that I have seen that in a deck list. So talk me through this one a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, when they spoiled Retro Evolution Device, for people that don't know, it's a 3-cost inkable item. I don't know how well they'll be able to read it. 3-cost inkable item, does nothing when you play it, but you can exert it and pay 1, banish chosen character of yours, play a character with costs up to 2 more than the banished character for free. So it could be less, could be the same, up to 2 more, right? And so you're kind of going up the value train with this deck, right? You'll want to like play an Elsa on turn 3, and you could see the value train because those are all 4-ofs. If anyone's lost at home, whereas the cards that are lesser are cards that are more tech cards, right? So the value train is most likely going to be 3-cost Elsa, draws a card. Unfortunately, you have to banish a card, so it's great to play an Elsa or a Todd that's going to net you something, or a Lenny that is going to reduce your opponent's hand, since you will also be reducing your own when you retro evolution device one of those into either an Aladdin and Genie, a Hades, a Chernobog, or a Baloo, right? Mm-hmm. And then this is by far the best deck that Aladdin and Genie is played in. Well, it's not really played in any other deck, but
yeah, I was going to say
could be played in, I should say, because I don't think this is a very good card rate wise. I just don't
Hmm.
think it's that great. But in a deck like this, it is basically the reason for all of the one ofs. You can really filter through a lot of the cards in your deck. You have Elsa drawing cards, you have Todd drawing two and discarding one. You have Aladdin and Genie, which you take any number of cards from your hand. I believe you put them on the bottom of your deck. Yeah, put them on the bottom of your deck
Yep.
in any order. If you do, draw that many cards plus one. So it at least draws you a card, even if you have no cards in hand, because you go, I'll put zero under, I'll draw one card. But one of the huge, one of the many things that Tramp did is that it found Under the Sea, even if your opponent Ursula'd you. Like
Hmm.
you never have that thing in your hand, unless maybe it was your first time picking up the deck. You would play the Tramp, finding Under the Sea, probably even just flip it right over, and your opponent could just concede the game there, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of doing the same effect where you get to Aladdin and Genie and Finding Under the Sea, even if your opponent has Lenny or Ursula or something like that in their deck. But
Hmm.
even if we're not doing that, we're still going up the value train of like, yeah, I'll Hades your thing that either banishes it or I draw two cards, I'm plus a card there. I'm going to turn the Hades into either a Demona or a Milo Thatch. Milo Thatch is going to return something yours. It's probably going to draw me a card because I discarded a card. And if I use Retro Evolution Device, I banished a card. So it replaces itself. And then your top end is going to be Prince Philip, which the shift line is now Retro Evolution Device. Instead of shifting
I was
on
going to
to,
ask about that. I
yeah,
was like, why is there no little Phillips in there?
yeah, the only one is a 4-cost uninkable,
Hmm.
unfortunately, and you cannot play 4-cost cards that do nothing the turn you play them or when they leave play. Otherwise, you're just
Yeah.
opening up yourself to get hit with a strength or something and almost lose on the spot. It's going to have a really good position player type role, something like that mole that draws two and discards two. It would have to
Hmm.
be something that's very important like that for you to play a card that costs more than three that does nothing the turn you play it or when it's banished. But yeah, what you'd love to do is just play a Malicious Mean and Scary and then Retro Evolution Device a Prince Philip into play from a Milo Thatch. And again, the Aladdin and Genie are helping you get into these situations.
Okay.
And then we have the 2-cost Aladdin to shift onto, and because there are items in the format, like that
Hmm.
text is not irrelevant. Otherwise, we would just play the 2-cost warded Aladdin. So yeah, it's a toolbox deck that is also a value engine deck. And yeah, if I had to guess, I think that this is something that like people were maybe trying to keep under wraps and it has gotten out there because I mean there's thousands of people playing this game. It's very rare that one person finds something and no one else does.
Yeah.
I could see like Mo qualifying for Worlds with this deck, right? Specifically Mo. It was the first person I
Hmm.
thought of when I saw
Yeah.
this deck. So this is something that I haven't even made a video about yet that I think is like a huge sleeper thing that I've seen some murmurings on Twitter. That's basically the only good thing I ever get from Twitter. Aside from the dopamine rush of I got 2 likes on this status, awesome. uh
And the memes are good
I do
too.
love the memes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Lolcana.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
He's on the back of my car actually, his sticker. But
Nice.
yeah, so I saw this floating around Twitter. That's again one of the only good benefits of having Twitter.
There is no shortage of deck lists floating around on Twitter. Now,
Yeah,
whether they're any good or not is a completely different story.
deck
But
lists and
yes.
bad takes. You're definitely getting those.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and I do want to take a look at this one here real quick. One last one. So this is I've played something similar to this in the past. It didn't have like Tigger, it actually didn't even have Dumbo or Second Star or anything like that. So I'm curious, give me kind of your take on this.
So this is like all of a sudden it's funny like the people I hear talking about this are like, yeah, this deck came out of nowhere, but
Yeah.
just like you're saying, like pre-rotation, I think this was just the best Amethyst deck, not even close. It was the only Amethyst deck that I played it in set championships, and then funny enough, I put it in my friend's car and had to play dogs for the rest of them because he went on vacation. So
Oh
the
no.
deck went to a completely different state. I
Okay.
digress. But yeah, I do just I think that now the format is super open, which is crazy.
Hmm.
Typically, when you shrink down a metagame, like we're down to only a handful of sets compared to pre-rotation. Typically,
Yep.
that means that the number of decks that are viable also shrink down, and people are just picking up that this is the new Blurple, essentially. So
Hmm.
if you were a lifelong Blurple player, it's just really easy to convert to this deck. There are people that don't like Ham, but it's inkable. This deck,
Hmm.
the biggest thing is it's a Demona deck. Number one, it is just that is what it wants to do. And so, just like previous Blurple decks, it has to cut down on uninkables. I do think the second star of the rights are kind of crazy. Like maybe this person only plays against control decks and they're
Yeah.
great and their opponents never have Mike Wazowski in their deck. Those might be something else if I were to play this. But again, in NACC, EUCC, maybe we're gonna have a lot less Mike Wazowskis and we're gonna have a lot more big brain decks. And second star of the right is something that is gonna shine that typically might not do so well at like the set champs level. So I would say this isn't like the de facto best control deck,
Hmm.
but it is certainly on the rise. And I think, if you look back maybe 2 weeks ago and ask someone like, "Oh, what decks are played?" they wouldn't even really think of this one. And now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I think it's just like, creeping up higher and higher.
Yeah, it looks like a fun deck to play too. It's not like one of those ones that you just like a slog through to kind of, okay, now I have to do this line and I have to do this the same way every single time. It seems like there's enough variation in here to kind of really keep it a little bit fresh, at least.
I also think, oh, at least pre-rotation. I have not played with this post-rotation, but pre-rotation, it drew the most cards. It
Oh yeah.
it
Well,
just
Amethyst, I mean.
Yeah, but not only that, like you can actually play Stitch. Like there
Yeah.
were many games that I just had like two grandmother willows or something that allowed me to play Stitch on turn 5. Like
Hmm.
yeah, Ham is going to get banished as soon as you turn it sideways, but if you get enough value from it, it doesn't matter. And you're drawing so
Yeah.
many cards that you can give up some of that value. This deck can easily play Demona 2 turns early with an empty
Hmm.
hand, and you're drawing three
Hmm.
cards, exerting your opponent's entire board. Like this is an incredibly strong deck, and Tigger is, in my opinion, a necessary evil because you just have to have something to bounce Davids, to bounce Mike
Yeah.
Wazowski's, stuff like that. Uh, Bouncing Grandmother Willow doesn't feel the best, especially if it usually only sets them back 1 ink. It may have cost 2, but it generates an ink the turn you play it effectively, right? And
Hmm.
then Augustin is also a card that generally I hate. I would love if Alanwi was in
He's
that
not
spot.
so bad.
The
Yeah.
problem is, he does nothing when you play him. That's my problem.
Yeah.
If I play
Yeah.
Augusta and you play Red Alert, oh my god, I'm so back. I'm so far behind. It's not even funny. You know,
Yeah.
if you're playing Ruby Amethyst, which is another deck that we could have talked about today, but again, the viewers can't be here for 4 hours. Their poop break only lasts so long. Um, you know, I would love if I could play Alonwi in that slot because you would like to bump
Mm-hmm.
things up with Gaston, but Eleanor is a problem. It's a serious problem.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's great when you're the one playing it, not
Yeah.
not on the opposing side. Oh, okay. I actually lied. There is one more that you shared.
Okay.
I do want to cover that real quick. Because I am a fan of Emerald Steel, so I do want to make sure and get this one in.
Yeah,
Um,
and this one
so,
was, I think, even more so for the set champs players. Actually, it's nice that we can
mm,
like kind of hit both of those camps at once, because, well, of course, the amazing Kurt Spice played this deck, and I would trust that man with anything he tells me about Disney Lorcana. Even if he tells me to put the Bayou in my deck, I'm gonna do it. Only
the
7 people will
Bayou.
get that, but um, yeah.
Oh,
So So apparently, this deck is the Eleanor Banisher.
Hang on.
It's all good.
Sorry.
All good.
I know how to do technology, I promise. I must have clicked it wrong. Sorry.
All good.
Go ahead.
So apparently, this deck is the Eleanor Banisher, is what I'm hearing, which is funny because it's using Eleanor. So
Yeah, I was gonna say.
let's fight fire with fire, I suppose.
Yeah.
I have not played a lot with this deck, but from what I'm hearing, not only just on Twitter, because again, we can't always trust that, but other YouTube videos, I did try to do a little bit of prep before coming in here. I try not to have a lot of preconceived notions from other people's channels, but I watched a few, and basically everyone was saying like one of the reasons to play this deck is because it is good into the Eleanor, Amber, and Emerald aggro decks. So it might not be the best choice for Continentals, but it might be the best choice for set championships. So
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it's I've seen a lot of the pieces in this in separate decks, but I don't think I've ever seen them all kind of put together like this.
yeah, I've also seen this completely differently where it goes turn one Rapunzel, the 2/1 that you can discard a card, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I figured I would specifically pull this one because it was Kurt Spice, and he is a master of the game. He was at Worlds last year. Funny enough, the first time I ever met him was a Star City Games in Philadelphia before even DLC Atlanta, and I just walked up to him. I had known him from Magic, and I think he's played in Worlds of like every card game he's ever played. So I just walked up to him and was like, "Hey, my name is Dick Burns. I wanted to meet you. If you ever wanted to connect in any way, I know you're a trading card game master. I'm getting back into trading card games," and that's how we became friends.
Nice. Hey.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're little kids, you like run up to somebody on the playground and it's like, "Hey, my name is this. Let's go play."
Yeah. It's hilarious. If more people just did stuff like that, they would be so much better off in life, right? But we have like these weird social norms, which again is fun. Like I say, I only dye my hair so people can see me from across the venue, but I will still inevitably get a comment, "Oh, I saw you, but like you were talking to people, I didn't want to bother you," or you were doing XYZ, I didn't want to bother you. No, please bother me. I would rather talk to you. I promise you, I'd rather talk to you than play Disney Lorcana. I am like specifically there to meet you, actually. So, but anyway, yeah. And that Paradise Falls combo, I was trying so hard. I'm just not smart enough because I was trying Touch Sky Paradise Falls. I may even have a deck in my Dreamborn from a while ago. It was a private conversation I was having with someone who wanted to play Emerald Steel, and I gave them what I would say is a bad deck list, but it had that combo, and I said, "Listen, you're gonna think I'm crazy. I think this is a good combo." And I guess I was at least right about that thing. So just like you said, I could have put out some deck that might not have been great, but hey, you take whatever piece you need from it and make it your own or improve upon it. So, and that's what happens when people actually share information.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's, and I talk to a lot of people that have been part of teams, where they have that built-in kind of structure around them to like, pass ideas around back and forth and all that. But it is really cool to have that at a wider scale, in the general community where you can, you post a list out on Twitter and you say, "Hey, I'm thinking about playing this. Does anybody have any thoughts about it?" Somebody will come back. Of course, they'll be like, "Oh, well, I tried this in that deck instead of, this." And to be able to kind of openly bounce ideas off of each other is a really cool thing as well.
Yes. So. Maybe try Discord instead of Twitter.
The
first comment you'll get, "That deck stinks. Throw the deck in the trash."
I mean, right? The number of times. No faster way to have you doubt your deck, your homebrew deck, than to post it on Twitter and wait for comments.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, Mr. Burns, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me tonight. Thank you so much for putting those deck lists together.
Yeah, of course.
Gathering all that stuff and walking me through those. You give me some interesting ideas of some stuff to take to set champs and everything too. So, Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to end this with the same four questions, even though I know I've asked you these questions before, but it's been
All
a
good.
little while, so the answers might be different. The same four questions that I ask everybody. First off, what is your favorite ink and card right now? It could be
So
card to play or card art or any of the above.
yeah, so my favorite ink color is amethyst, of course. I'm sure that's like the most popular one. And my favorite card of all time is Friends on the Other Side, but my favorite card in Core
Mm.
Constructed is Demona.
Okay.
Because draw more cards, win more games.
Yep.
That's what I live by. And I'm
Yep.
trademarking that, by the way. I'm litigious. Okay. I will get a trademark. I will sue you. Not you. You at
Me
home.
personally. Yep.
Not
Yep.
you.
All right. I fully expect you to show up with a t-shirt with that on the back.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you doing with your life otherwise? I
Right.
mean, really.
Unfortunately, I'm spending all my money on Roosevelts for some reason.
Right. Tell me about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I think it's a necessity. It's a bare necessity at this point.
Oh, there you go. Nice. All right. Next question. Favorite Disney movie and why?
Alice in Wonderland. And there was just something about the colors, the fantasticalness, and like it just got my imagination running wild as a kid.
Yeah.
Something about it, like, still one of my favorite things is Rocking Horsefly, and it's a little rocking horse, from the movie.
Yep.
It just all that stuff blew my mind. Even as a kid now, they're doing like a caucus race, or sorry, as an adult now, they're doing a caucus race. And they're actually racing, and I don't know what that
Right.
word means as a
Right.
kid. I'm just like, okay, whatever. They're doing a race, and now I'm like, oh, genius. Walt, you had something there, bud.
Makes even more
Right?
sense.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So much so that I named my youngest daughter Alice after Alice in
Nice.
Wonderland. She, for the longest time, thought her middle name was Wonderland. We did not tell her that. She just thought that. Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing.
Like,
right?
we told her she was named after the movie, so she just assumed her name was Alice Wonderland Burns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's that movie is one of the like now you watch a lot of the Disney movies, and they make jokes and stuff that like adults kind of get. Some of the Toy Story movies and stuff kind of really started with that. But it's funny to look back at those older movies and still see some of that same kind of thing. It's just not as like obvious, as it is in the
So
more recent
clever.
movies. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. That's one of my wife's favorite stories too. She loves Alice in Wonderland, and like if she ever has a point where where she just needs to like decompress or something, she'll get her earbuds out and put it on the little audiobook. And I think she said she started it like 500 times now and maybe finished it like 30. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's still one of her favorites.
I own 1,000 Alice in Wonderland VHS. I need to contact Guinness. I must have a record. I must have a record.
Surely. That has to be some kind of record.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I use them as decoration, as my backdrop for shelves in my living room. It's lining the walls. It looks like wallpaper. And in front of that is all the Disney stuff that we've got over the years from, the parks and toys and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. Not just, random piles of TCG player inventory behind me at all times.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I had to finally kind of spruce things up a little bit here. It was look a little more official, I guess.
All my nice stuff's at my store, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, speaking of stores, besides yours, give a shout out to your favorite LGSs.
Oh, besides mine. I don't really go to.
I mean, you could shout yours out too. Yeah. I don't care. It's
well,
self-promotion's always good.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to come to my store. I think some people know what my store is. I know it sounds stupid. I don't ever want to parlay like people knowing who I am into like me taking money from them if I can help it. If you want to donate to my Patreon or my Medify or something, that's on you. But yeah, I try not to abuse the levels of whatever. But yeah, so I'm sponsored by the comic book store in Glassboro, New Jersey, as well as Top Deck Games in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, as well as 2 other locations now that I don't know off the top of my head because I always go to the Cherry Hill location. And then I I used to play at Coliseum of Comics in Kissimmee, Florida, specifically the one in Kissimmee. There's tons of them. That's the only one I could vouch for because it's the only one I went to, and it was fantastic. So yeah, there's all my LGSs for you, all over the country.
Nice. Hey, nothing wrong with that. You know, you've got what you like. So, all right. And last up, where can people find you, your channel, your content? Are you coming to any events in the near future where they can come and shake your hand and bother you about that versus the game? You know.
Yeah, you can find me on the Lore College, which hopefully you can just find because you're here on this video, right?
Yep.
And then as far as being at any events, I can't think of any in the near future. I'm not going to NACC. I'm not going to EUCC. I really, this year, I'm trying to, well, this season, trying to find more of a, trading card game life, normal dad life balance. I think that I have gotten to the point where, Ravensburger knows my goals. They've, acknowledged like how much work I'm putting in and how I've been traveling literally all over the world for the game. And now I can kind of take a step back and, my kids are 6 and 8. They are not going to be young forever. And I want to spend more time with them. I still will not miss DLCs in America though. So very much looking forward to D23 and hearing all of the big announcements they have, as well as, cheering everyone on that will be at each of the Continentals from my couch.
Nice. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be interesting to see what the next season turns out like. I know, we kind of had this weird like in between season with season 2, but I fully expect like a whole lot of expansion, I think, in the next one.
I've said it. I was on Granola's channel and I said this. I think season 1 was preseason. We were never meant to have it. Luckily, we have the amazing Rochelle who got things done on Ravensburger's side, and they were able to partner up with PPG and have a great what we call season 1. I think that was bonus season. We were lucky to have that, and what we had in our season 2 is what we were supposed to have in season 1. And I am assuming, hoping, I'll just say it, it's gonna be better next season. I'll put my reputation on it. I don't know anything, but I believe in Ravensburger.
It's a pretty safe bet, I think, honestly. But yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, hey, thank you so much again for taking some time to talk with me. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to have you on and pick your brain a little bit. So.
Appreciate it.
But best of luck to you with the new channel. I look forward to some great new content coming out of it. And we'll see you around the community.
Thank you.
Well, it's always great to have Mr. Burns on and to get to pick his brain for those little nuggets of TCG wisdom. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe, rate, or like the show on your platform of choice. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can find us on all the socials at Inkwell Lounge, or you can find a full list of links at inkwelllounge.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.